Okay. So the first thing we need to do is we need to do the Pledge of Allegiance, and we need to do the pledge to the Texas flag. Won't you join me in rising? And we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And to the Texas flag, honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. You may be seated. Is there any public comment?
No, sir, there is not.
Before we get on to the regular agenda, there's one thing that I really want to bring up, and that is some of us just came back from Austin. We were at the TAD convention. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute, but I want to acknowledge how each of us in this community needs to be proud of the fact that Dinah Kilgore was honored with the TAD James A. Goodwin Excellence in Education Award. That is an award that is given once a year to one individual in the entire state. In fact, this Texas Association of Appraisal Districts only gives out 2 awards, period, in general. That's all they do. And one of them went to our own Dinah Kilgore. And I think that that is something that we need to acknowledge and be proud of. And all of us, whether you're employees of the district or whether we're citizens of this town, we need to realize how lucky we are to have Dinah here with us. And I think she deserves a round of applause.
Thank you.
You want to say something?
I couldn't do the things I do without the support of my board, allowing me to be part of the education process in the state of Texas and in the nation, because I work with IAAO on mentoring some of their folks. So I want to thank the board for allowing me the opportunity to be involved in this and to bring up the next generation in appraisal. I'm very, very happy. Some of the folks that I have taught that have gotten their designations are now instructors. So that always makes you feel really good when you can do that. So thank you, board, for allowing me the opportunity to serve the state.
So you have a press release that we are trying to send out from here, but I have to be honest with you, we don't have the facility some of you have to get this into the press. Maybe you can give it to your assistants and say, look, get this thing out there, because I will use my influence as well, but each of you have your own sphere of influence. We need to get the community to understand how lucky we are to have Dinah and how this is an accomplishment worth recognizing and that we're proud of her. And we're proud of the district, and so that's why you have it.
If it wasn't for my staff covering for me when I'm doing that. Mr. Berg is exactly right. They only give 2 awards. And if you notice on the wall, I already have the Earl Luna award. So this will be the trifecta for TAD. So I'm very, very excited.
That's
about
pretty.
that.
I'm going to tell you, I don't know of I don't know of any other district where their chief appraisal officer has won both awards. Yeah. Like I said, they only give out an award once a year, and they only give out 2. So she has won both. And so I think that's a remarkable achievement and something that deserves to be acknowledged by the community.
Thank you, Chair.
So I'm putting it out there for those of you who are watching this on the video, or more importantly, I think that it's important for us to get into the media so that the whole community understands.
We did put it out, but
Yeah,
we've done that before.
But they never pay attention.
And that's okay.
All right. Let us go on to the approval and signing of the minutes. You all have received the minutes of the meeting. I looked them over before you even get them. So has anybody got any additions or corrections to the minutes of the meeting that we had in January? And if not, I will entertain a motion to accept.
Move to approve minutes for
Second.
January.
Move to approve by Ed, seconded by Sergio. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes unanimously. All right, let's go to number 3, discussion of possible action regarding the financial audit report. And I don't know if we call our auditor.
Well, I'll introduce our
If you
auditor,
would.
if I could. Board members, we're with Pena and Associates. Renee Pena is sending his regrets. He had scheduled to be here last week, and of course, we had to reschedule. And he wants to apologize for not being here. But he is at a christening for his grandchild. So, you know,
Awesome.
grandchildren
Good
take
excuse.
priority,
That's a good
right?
excuse.
Very
Yeah.
excuse. Oh, yeah.
But his second in command, Ms. Teresa Mele, is here. Teresa, if you'd like to give up, you all have your information right
blue
here. It
folder.
looks like this.
Again,
And we did send it to everybody about a week and a half ago to review. So you have had an opportunity, but I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Mele. And then, of course, Rosa, if you have any questions. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. We're going to start with the 5-year.
you have to speak into the microphone.
Oh,
Sorry.
We're going to start with the 5-year. It should be right in the front. So this is Mr. Pena's favorite report. It's a snapshot of the 5 years of the district. And the first thing I wanted to point out was, am I close enough? Can you hear me? Or no?
I'm deaf a little bit. I can hear you.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, it's back there.
But
okay?
you know what? You're right. Maybe the TV can't hear you.
Are you okay back there, or can you not hear?
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
good.
as long as they can hear you, look at
Okay.
them if they can hear you.
Okay, good. So for your total assets, you went from 11.5 million to 19.3 million, which is a growth of 7.8 million, and that's a 68% growth in the past 5 years. And your total liabilities have doubled over the past 5 years. They went from 7.1 million to 14.3 million. And your net position has increased from 4.4 million to 5.0 million, which is by 600,000 or 14%. And then your revenues have increased from 15 million to 21 million, which is about a 5.8 million, and it's a 40% growth in the past 5 years. And then on the expenses, they increased from 14.7 to 19.5, which is an increase by 4.8 million, and it's a 33% increase in the past 5 years. So that's all I have on the 5-year. If you guys have any questions.
If I may,
Mhm.
would you let them know about what's due to the taxing jurisdictions? What
Oh,
will be
okay, sure.
refunding back to as a credit to the taxing entities?
Yeah, so due to the taxing jurisdictions for this year is 1.4 million, and in 2020 it was 1.1 million.
Thank you.
So when you say net pension liability, does that mean what we owe to our employees who are pensioning? I mean, why did it get a reduction from 4 million to 3 million?
For the pension, well, I have that in here. I was going to
Okay,
discuss
we'll
it
get
later,
to
but
it.
you
We'll
want to
get
get to it
to it.
later?
That's all
Okay.
right.
That's almost $1 million difference.
I know, but we'll figure it out because it'll come out in the
Yeah, it's going to be in
Did
the
people
report.
I don't know. All right.
Okay.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I
Okay,
didn't
no
mean to-
problem. Okay, now we're going to go on to the rest of the report. On page 1. And this is the auditor's independent report, and basically this just gives our opinion that the financial statements referred to above present fairly the financial position of the Paso Central Appraisal District as of and for September 30, 2024 and 2023. Basically, it just says that we will have a clean report. And then on page 4 and 5 are the actual financial statements. And this is a comparison between last year and this year. So your working capital this year is 1.2 to 1 compared to what it was last year, which was 1.3 to 1. So you're in good shape with your working capital. And your total assets, as I mentioned before, increased over the 5 years, but for the between this year and last year, it's increased by 865,000. And then your total liabilities between this year and last year has decreased by 256,000. And the net position has increased by 1 million from the prior year.
But down from 2022, when we were at 6.5 5 million.
Yes.
Well, something happened between 2022 and 2024 that substantially reduced the current cash position,
Yeah.
right? Or asset position.
Mm-hmm.
Was it because of pre-COVID maybe, or?
I'm thinking it's due to COVID. Mm-hmm.
That doesn't,
Because of 2020.
Is there any
was-
way that, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
no, go ahead.
Is there any way that you can maybe research that and inform? Because I mean, that's a good question. I mean, it's, you know, it's a valid question. I would like to have a better understanding of what happened there. That's a
Okay.
big number there.
Sure. Yeah, we can research that.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
It could be that's the year that we increased our pension
Yes, that's,
from 2 to 250, the max.
But it went down though.
well, the net position went down, and it could be because we allocated more toward the pension.
Right.
But I agree with Ed that you really need to give us notes on that.
Okay, yeah, I
When
will
you
look
have a
into that.
substantial reduction of, I would say, give it any number, 10%, 20%, whatever number you want. At that point, we should get a note that says this is.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
this
we
is
can
what
get
happened.
that to the board.
It's not a big deal. We just like to be informed of what's going on,
Okay.
especially when there's a big
Right.
difference in numbers like that.
Mm-hmm.
Look at your increase. In 2022, we went from total assets of 13.6 to 18.828, and we maintained that. So you had a $5 million increase in your total assets between 22 and 23, even though your net position was reduced by $3 million. So
I'm sure
Why?
they do have notes to all of that, so in reading the notes, there may be some answers
may-
to your questions.
you know, I'll take this.
I'll do some homework.
Yes.
I'll do some
Okay.
reading.
Yeah, because Penya's pretty, the
Pretty
company's
thorough,
pretty good about
yeah.
putting the differences in there.
If we look at the first page, the initial discussion and analysis, at the bottom, it talks about the net position. Why,
Where are you, Rosa?
What page?
management discussion and analysis, right after the table of contents.
What page is
Oh,
that?
after, so right in their notes, you're saying. Got it. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
It says that there is an increase on the net position
Uh-huh.
of $1,023,000 from $3,989,000 to $5,012,000, and it is primarily due to a decrease in total liabilities and deferred inflow of resources.
Hmm.
And the reason is because the inflow of resources has to do with pension.
The pension.
Right.
With pension, and we really cannot control that. And the increase in total assets and deferred outflow of resources, those are strictly related to pension. And remember, those pension reports are done by the actuaries and by the
Right.
CRS. We really don't have too much control over that. The actuaries are telling us, where the market is going, how things are going. It includes several factors. One of them is how many people are retiring, what's the age of the participants, how investments are doing, how are the interests earned. So it's a lot of factors that the actuaries are taking care of. And it's like, we have the numbers, but really, the actuaries are telling us what the numbers.
So that $1,309,772 that
Yeah,
you're,
it comes out
that
of
came
those
out from an actuary report that we got. All right.
So Rosa, excuse me, Mr. Chair,
No,
the way you explained it, it's beautiful. But it took you to explain it. You know what I'm saying? Because I was completely lost. I was like, okay, there's a difference, and so was the chairman.
That's why we have
And
Rosa here.
that's why we have Rosa.
So we have
make-
Rosa here.
To alleviate and make things a little bit easier, is there maybe, and these, you can tally up all these numbers and do like a little spreadsheet to explain to us?
I think it is parted down with the pension. There are other pages that
Yeah, I'm
have
sure
more
it's gonna
information
Right.
on the pension.
There's going to be a whole
Yeah,
whole
there's.
thing on
Yes.
pension.
Yes,
Because I love the
There
way
it
you
is.
explained it to us. I would have, I would never figured it out, even if I read all that.
So if you look at page 15,
yeah,
and 15, and then it's, believe it or not, it's so much, it goes on to 16, and it goes on to 17, and it goes on to 18, and it goes on to 19, and it
If
goes
I had
on
a
to
CPA
20, and it goes on to 21, and it goes on to 22. You can see that there's pages and pages of trying to, but I think that if there's a variance, of a substantial amount, then it deserves a note in your analysis. So when he gives us a 5-year plan,
Mhm.
and there's a 20% variance,
Yep.
then on the bottom, he needs to give us a
Explanation.
brief,
Okay.
even though I've got the answer here,
Right,
there needs to be something that gives us a quick understanding.
okay,
And I'll work with Rosa for next year. We'll come up with something in the way of
Thank you
a
for that.
spreadsheet or
Not a big
just
deal, you know.
just a little cheat sheet type
Yes.
thing that we'll
That's all
have
we need
just
so we
the
can explain.
basics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Rosa, we can do that for next year.
I mean, the retirement plan took up 20 pages of your notes, so
Yeah.
you obviously gave us a thorough
Right.
explanation. But
I would never figured it out.
all right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
okay, no worries. Okay, so on page 5 is the changes in the fund balances. And the taxing entity revenue, it has increased by 2.1 million from prior year. And the interest income has increased by 500,000 over the past 2 years. And then on the personnel services has decreased by 2.6 million or 16% from last year. And then the total expenditures has decreased by 1.4 or 6.5%. So then if we go over to page 13, it shows your property and equipment. And we just wanted to point out that on this page, that if you take the building out, the capital assets are 86% depreciated. So you might want to consider replacing them soon.
The building?
No,
No,
if you take the building out.
Take the
Yeah,
building
taking
out,
the
right.
building out, your other capital assets are 86%.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Mhm.
And the building is at its purchase price, I'm assuming.
Less depreciation.
Less depreciation.
Yeah.
But at purchase.
So the building is 950,000? Oh, am I reading this wrong?
The building,
Not depreciated
the
land?
building
Million
is
four.
up at
1
the
million.
top,
Okay,
total building.
okay, million. Okay, I got you now. Okay.
Mhm.
What about the land? The land is 950?
The nine, yes,
950.
that's the
Take that
land.
out too?
Yes, because the land is non-depreciable. But yeah, we're just talking about the office furniture, computer equipment, the CAM system, the vehicles, and your right of use leases. So if we go over to page 23, this is part of the pension, and it shows that the discount rate is 7.6%, and that the pension is 89% funded, which means that you are 9% greater than what the AICPA considers the comfort zone regarding the pension and the funding.
So we're
So you're in very good shape with your
in
pension.
good shape. Good job.
And then on page 29 and 30 is the budget. And the budget shows that you have very good management control over your expenditures. Your total revenue has a increase an increase over budget of 1.8%. And on the salaries and wages and employee benefits, this was under budget by about 903,000. So that's very good.
For salaries and wages, you said?
Yes. Salaries, wages, and employee benefits. Salaries and wages were under budget by 310,000, and the employee benefits were under budget by 592.
Now, when you say under budget,
We were able to
Save.
save.
Yes.
So we have money to,
Yes.
To
we
return to
saved
the entity.
money.
yes, to return to entities or hire more personnel if need to.
Yes. Yes. So you saved money on that, and you also increased your revenue. So you gained money by increasing the revenue, and you saved money by decreasing the wages.
According to our budget, so we're running,
To the
we're
budget.
running very efficient,
Yes.
which is
Very
a good
efficient.
thing. Very
Yes.
good.
So one of the things on page 29 that is of concern is we expected rendition penalties to be about $5,000. I get that. So how the heck did we get 107,000?
I was just gonna ask.
How did we go from a $5,000 expectation?
Well, yeah, because we never know on rendition. Again, it's something that we don't control.
But was the 5,000 historical number?
It was an old number.
Just
But
a number.
is that what we got last year and the year before?
No. Now, the penalty, we get that from the tax office.
Right.
And it depends on how many businesses do not file a rendition. And so we have no way of knowing, so we have to put in a
But
number.
has it always been around 100,000 or has it always been around 5,000?
What is the
No, it's always
historic-
been, well, I can't say always, I'd have to go back and look, but
More or less.
it's been in the high 90,000.
So I'm
yeah.
thinking maybe our expectations is a budget item of 5,000.
Well, we keep pushing for people to render, so I hate to
I
put
hear
us,
you,
but
I
we
hear you.
can,
What you're
we
saying
can,
is if we
you
put it
know,
at
going
100,
forward,
It's not showing that we have faith in the taxpayer that they're gonna.
we
do their-
don't, no.
personal work. I got it. But you're always gonna have a high variance there.
Right, now we can, that is something we can look at when we do our budget in April. Huh?
It's a very good variance.
No, it's a
Is
positive
that good?
variance.
It's okay, or?
It's coming as a penalty from the taxpayer.
Well, it's additional monies that we are receiving, which really are being returned to the taxing entities. So the difference there that you see.
I get it. You have it. I just wanna make sure it's
180
consistent.
is part of what is being given back to the taxing entities. So it's a good thing for the taxing entities.
I guess you know what rose that, because you budget 5,000, then we ended up with a
But it's-
variance of
that's
102,000. So we're gonna question that. You know what I'm saying?
Right, and that's because, again, we don't know how many people will not file a rendition, and if they don't file a rendition, then on their tax bill is that penalty. So we won't know until the tax bills what that's gonna be, so we're very conservative as to the income we're gonna receive, because I would hate to put in a higher one and then we don't receive, then we're in the negative instead of a positive, because that goes back to the entities as additional income that was presented. And
It just
we-
is what it is. It doesn't matter because it's, in my opinion, it's an insignificant number based on the entire budget.
If you look at the miscellaneous, that may include some of the
Miscellaneous?
vehicle miscellaneous revenue. We
Right, I don't-
put
that
5,000 and we
doesn't
got, well, that I think includes the VIT, which is your vehicle registration with the county.
And also the taxpayer side that request public information. And
Right.
they pay us, that money goes there in the miscellaneous.
Right, for copies and public information and
Yeah, we
stuff,
receive
yeah.
less than what we budget.
Right,
We
so
budget
they
that
kind of
500
offsets
going
each
into
other.
So the thing that should be of concern to us as board members is where we've got a $741,000 variance in legal fees. We had budgeted $636,200. I'm assuming that came from historical numbers, and we figured that. And it ended up that we ended up spending $1.5 million almost. So we had a $741,000 variance in our legal fees. Next year's budget hopefully will have a substantial increase in the budget.
But remember, that's why we are carrying also a little bit.
We do
reserve.
have
That
contingency.
That encumbered
We do
fund.
have a contingency, but that contingency is outside of the budget that the board's approved. So I'm just suggesting that we might want to look at
So
that.
whenever it's in parentheses, that means we went over
We went over, on the bottom,
on the bottom.
yes, whenever it was in parentheses, that means we went over. So 294,000, I don't have a problem. Fixed access, maybe computers cost more, or whatever.
Right.
But I do have I don't have a problem with it. I think we need to annotate that our legal fees
Well,
were higher, and they're going to be higher next year than they were this year. They're just, it is what it is.
And remember all this, because we'll be
Don't listen,
passing out a
Cheryl.
draft budget at the March meeting, and then our workshop will be in April. And so you'll have the draft budget for a whole month to be able to look at.
So let me, my next question, I'm sorry, Mr.
No, no.
Chair. So for next year's budget, does this tell me that we need to drop a little bit more money from the contingency fund into the legal fees?
You're going to see that when you get your next year's budget.
Right.
I'm just giving you a heads up. By looking at this number, you know that she's going to make an adjustment to bring that up. It may still not be enough, and we may still need a contingency fund to pick up the rest. But
Well,
there's
and-
going to have to, we have to bring that number
What's the
closer.
historical, is there any way that we can go back 3-4 years? I know people are now filing more lawsuits and
There are more lawsuits being
Yes, there
filed. Arbitrations, mediations. To mediate, every lawsuit we have has to have mediation, and that's $2,000 per day. The mediator charges each side $2,000. So every lawsuit that we have about 1,300 lawsuits. And of course, they keep getting added. And that'll be something I'm not going to discuss right now, but we'll discuss it when we talk about the budget in April.
You'll have it, we have a
Yeah.
workload coming up next month.
Okay.
That'll
Yeah.
be hard, yeah.
In April, and so we'll
In
be
April.
able to do that, yes.
I just wanted to point that out to you. So you can see it now so we can talk about
See,
it.
now we got $76,000 in under, but never mind, I'm not gonna bring that up.
This is just
Go
what happened
ahead.
last year, but
I'm
we'll.
sorry.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but I
No
just
worries,
want to
no
give,
worries.
I just want to
I
point.
apologize, I
No
don't want
worries.
to.
I just have one more point on this, and I was just going to say that the total expenditures were less than budgeted by 5%.
Yes, that's right. Overall.
So overall, you were within
Overall.
budget with your expenditures. You were actually under budget with your, by 5%.
Yes, yay, we try really hard.
Even though we
Very
had
diligent.
some numbers that spiked, there were numbers that came down, and it was enough to give us a balanced budget at least.
Yeah. And then there's just one more thing. There's the letter in the back that is our report on internal control over financial reporting and compliance. And this letter is basically just says that during our audit, we didn't identify any deficiencies in internal control that we consider to be material weaknesses. So therefore, we're giving you a clean opinion on your controls and compliance.
Very important, guys, for those of you who don't, that just to have a clean opinion, and the one that we thank for that is Rosa.
Yes.
And Rosa just does an outstanding job, and we thank Peña and Associates also, but Rosa is to be credited
Oh,
for
yeah.
that, so.
Right, and not just Rosa, but the entire staff, they're very diligent about ordering things, about spending, I mean, because we know we're dealing with taxpayer funds. And so anytime that we can give money back to the entities to be used as a credit, that saves money for you that you can then apply somewhere else. And that's also where, at the end of the year, our fiscal year, because remember, we're October 1, we can always put a little more towards our election or a little more towards our legislation to help beef that up. Or not legislation, litigation to help beef that up. But thank you so much for this report, and it's a great report.
Any questions?
So it says here encumbered funds, DOB election 300,000.
That was for, those are funds we set aside.
And they're
if
still
we
there?
needed a board of
Yes.
directors election.
Okay,
So
good.
as far as the actual budget is concerned, Dinah and her team are to be absolutely lauded for the fact that they kept everything in line, and they even saved money where they could. As far as the fact that the report is clean and that we got no contingencies on the report, that's thanks to Rosa, because she's the one who does the accounting. And if there would have been a question, if there had been a suggestion, it could have given us a hard audit, and it didn't. So the fact that we saved money, totally Dinah. She did that, and her team did that, staff did it. The fact we didn't have any discrepancy on our report is totally thanks to Rosa. So if anybody has any questions, now's the time to ask. All right, we do need to approve this budget, so it is subject to a motion to.
Financial report, not budget.
I'm sorry, financial report, not the budget. Financial report, the audited financial report. We always approve our financials subject to audit. So this is the audit. So now they are not subject to audit. This is the audit, and we need a motion to approve.
I'll
budget.
move to approve
The audit.
the audit, the El Paso Central Appraisal District financial audit.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All in favor, all opposed, any opposed? We thank you, Rhett, and Peña, and everybody. We really thank you. Rhett.
Again, I apologize for,
Oh, we have, she's
All these
also gonna
questions?
do, she's also gonna do item number 5, which is the, I'm sorry, item number 4, which is the investment policy.
Okay, before I do item number 4, I want to, for the record, acknowledge that Jack Loveridge is here and that he came in at 5:10, so that it's on the record. And we still have a quorum. We always have to. All right, now you can do that. I just want to make sure I covered
Okay.
what I need to.
Okay, well, during our audit, we reviewed the investment policy, and it is in compliance with the state law also. So we have no recommendations for the investment policy.
Okay, so this is the same investment policy we've had all along.
Mhm.
We're just Robert, how can I say this? We're acknowledging its continuance for the next year, right?
Move to approve.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Jack. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so we will maintain the same investment policy that we've had. All right, that's number 4. Number 5, financial reports for now, October, November. Thank you very much.
you.
And I wanted to say thank you, Rosa, for a wonderful job and all of your help.
If she didn't do that, then you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, no.
Good evening, Rosa Goldman, Chief Financial Officer.
What page, Rosa?
And we are presenting the financial report for the months of October and November 2024. The financial report, just for the record, it contains the balance sheet, the report of revenues, expenditures, and changes in cash balance,
Tab 5, if you need.
the investment report, and the note to the financial report. So usually the item that I concentrate on is on the notes to the financial report. For these 2 months of October and November, we don't have anything to address to the board because all accounts are still, within budget. It's just 2 months. It's the first 2 months, so nothing really has happened that is worthy of noting. But if you look at the page below, it shows the encumbered funds for the Board of Directors election reserve. We have $527,886. And then for the litigation reserve balance, we have $823,225 with a balance of the encumbered funds of $1,351,111. So as you remember, we cannot use any of those monies unless we have your approval. So whenever we need them, we come and ask you for approval to use them. But so far, in these 2 months, we haven't needed anything.
So for those of you who are new, we've only really had 2 items that we've ever thought about using. One was for the election. If we had needed an election right, we were prepared to use, my heart, even as I say this, it's crushing, but we were going to use.
We're not
those
out of the water
monies.
yet, so.
Well, it was $1
That'd be
million.
another one.
That would have been,
Yeah.
we will now piggyback onto another election. We
Yes.
were going to have to run our own election, which was extremely expensive. As it turns out, we didn't. We had 3 people apply, we had 3 positions, everything worked out fine. But it could have, and that was part of what we're going to use the money for, was going to be for that. And the other thing we were going to use the money for was legal fees. If we saw that our legal fees were going to exceed the amount that we had budgeted, we understood that as you heard Dinah say before, we were going to use that extra encumbrance money to pay off our legal fees because we never know how much they're going to be.
Right.
So we allocate a certain amount. We think that'll be work. If it doesn't work, we have that variance of using the encumbered funds.
And for those of you that are new to the board, appraisal districts are not allowed to invest. Other than the funds that we receive, we will put in short-term CDs or in an account. But we're not allowed to have long-term investments or rainy day funds that we can go to. Our budget is what it is, and if we go over the budget, we've got to go back to the entities after the fact that they've already had their budget and spent everything to ask for any funds, which that's just not going to happen. So we were lucky in the fact that when the election happened, we were just approving our budget. So we were able to put some money in there and then encumber some funds. We are allowed by law to encumber for a specific purpose. So that's why you'll see under the encumbered funds for litigation or for board of directors election, that we have to use it for that. If we don't use it for that and the board decides to get rid of it, it goes back into what's returned back to the entities. So that's our only way of kind of protecting ourselves from a very large lawsuit that could cost $1.2 million, $1.5 million, or to have monies to be able to pay for our share of the election that will be coming up in 2026. So those are for those of you that are new to kind of explain that. We're not, I'd love to be able to invest in stocks or real estate, but we're not allowed to do that. Yes.
I do want to point out one thing on the audit that we did point out, but we brushed it over. We shouldn't. We are refunding to the entities $1.5 million. So we had $1.5 million surplus. That money will go back to the entities. So that's not showing in this month's report, but it was part of the budget, and I
Well,
just think that's
because
important.
we already returned it. We just billed the taxing entities for this quarter, and that those monies were already credited to their bills.
But just so
Yeah.
that you know, we worked so efficiently that we were able to give even though the entities approved what we asked for, we were able to give them back $1.5 million. That includes the school districts, that includes the county, and everybody else from whom we collect that.
Each entity pays into our budget by a percentage based on their levy, and that's the percentage they get back if we
Right.
have any overage. We never know what's going to happen in regarding to hearings. So much happens after our budget's approved, so we have to kind of budget on worst case scenario and hope it doesn't happen, and then be able to give that back. And we'll go into that more detail when we have our budget workshop in April. So we'll make sure you guys have the date. It'll be the third Thursday in April, and we'll have our budget workshop. So that's when we really get into the nitty gritty. This needs to be.
Any
of
questions?
Rosa? Go ahead, Rosa.
Any questions?
Any questions of this month's and October, November?
October and November.
This month's October, November financial reports,
Move to approve.
Thank you.
subject to audit.
So always,
Subject to audit, always subject to
yes.
audit. Second?
Second.
All right, the second is subject to audit.
Two seconds.
Jack, again. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, good. One of the if you look at item number 6, one of the requirements for serving on this board is you cannot be an employee of an entity. So if you work for one of the entities for whom we receive, you cannot serve on our board as well. Melody, although she was elected, she chose to take a job working for the city of El Paso. So when she did, she submitted her resignation. The process, and Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, the process is we need to accept her resignation, and then we can fill her position. But, and the position is filled from this board. We don't have to go to another election, which would really be something. But in this case, because she was an elected individual, we do have the prerogative of filling that position. So first thing is, I need a motion to accept her resignation.
Okay, I move to accept the resignation of Melody Jimenez.
Is there a second?
Second.
Here. Any discussion? You understand why? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so she is no longer a member of this board, and she's sorry. Now we have an open position. I have a proposal, and I'll pass it around, of a person who has a lot of, right now, we're feeling our way. I mean, this is a whole new ballgame. We have a person with a lot of experience who has served on the CAD for 10 years, and the only reason she got off the CAD is because she had termed out. At that time, you could only serve for 10 years. She has served as the chair of the CAD, and you can read it yourself. Laurie is here, and she can answer any questions if you
Ms.
have
Searles,
any.
would you like
In
to?
fact, if you'd like to maybe say something, this is your chance.
Good evening. I'm Laurie Searles. I think most of y'all know me. It's a pleasure to be here and an honor to be considered. Thank you very much. If I can answer any questions, I'm happy to.
Does anybody have any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion that Laurie Searles fill the vacancy created by Melody Jimenez.
I move.
Moved and seconded.
You seconded?
No, it was seconded over here.
Oh, I move as a first to approve the seat for Lori Swirls.
And I tried to talk her out of it, but she's refused.
Are you sure you want this?
Okay, is there any discussion?
Yeah, I think so.
I think one of the things that makes her an outstanding candidate for us is her experience. We're at a time right now where we really need to be balanced. We need to be able to move forward.
I have a question to ask her.
Absolutely. Sure.
Do you promise to attend every board meeting and not be absent so we can make quorum?
Sick or not, we don't care if you're sick or not.
I showed up in a wheelchair one time.
Well,
She's thinking it over.
God willing.
God willing, she will.
God
Good
willing.
answer. That's good enough for me.
All right, we have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimously, you are now appointed as an additional. Now,
Thank you very much.
Filling an elected position.
Yes, sir.
So you fill out the remainder of that elected position.
Okay.
Does she
You can
get to
now
sit
take
down?
your seat.
You have a seat
You can
at the
take your
end.
seat here at
Join.
the table,
I thank you very much.
right?
Yes, Cynthia?
Is that right, Joe?
She's
you awake,
been
Joe?
appointed, so she can serve, right?
Is it okay for her to take her seat at the table?
It is, because she is actually appointed to the board after official action.
She is,
She
that's
is a
why we
member
did that.
of the board.
Okay.
All right? Thank you, Laurie.
Hi, Joe.
Welcome.
Hi, Ms. Searles, how are you?
Very happy to be back. Thank you so much.
So remember that
Sure.
the entities, the school district entities have to give us permission to represent them. So if you look at item number 8, it's discussion of possible action on the acceptance of Fabens Independent School District. The others have already requested and we've already approved. The resolution regarding our right to protest, if necessary, the state controls property value ratings. That, the state has already told us they're not going to protest. But still, that gives us the authority. Fabens board already voted to give us this authority. So this is a resolution allowing us to represent Fabens.
Do we need to take action on that?
Yes.
Yes.
Motion to
Motion
approve
to approve. Is
the
there
acceptance of Fabens Independent School District.
second?
Second.
Is there any, does everybody understand what we're doing? All right. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, report on the 2024 school district property value study preliminary findings.
Okay, that's me. And thank the board because Fabens had submitted this resolution prior to ours getting our results on the property value study. It was on the agenda, so we had to go ahead and
Right.
approve it. Now, the good news is, for all of those that did submit, all but one school district submitted a resolution and the board approved it, we don't need it. Our property
Right.
value study this year, all 9 school districts passed. And I have a report so I can give you the overall ratio. Remember in the state comptroller's report, the property value study, we have to be between 95 and 105% of market to be in the confidence level. If we fall out of confidence level based on their review, then we have to protest just like a property owner would protest their value. We would have to send information and of course by law, by state law now, state statute, we have to come to the board and give you a report. Well, since we passed, we don't have to, but I'm like, why wouldn't I want to tell you guys that how well we did? And first of all, before I give you the numbers, I'd like to introduce Beatrice and have her introduce her staff. They are the ones that put all this together and submitted the reports to the state. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Beatriz Medina. I'm the compliance department. And this is my team, Lisette Rincon.
Stand up. Tell them their names.
Lisette Rincon, Cristina Reyes, Stephanie Anaya, and Isaac Fierro. Thank you.
So I'm going to give you guys the percentages. So Anthony ISD, we passed at 1.04.
Okay.
Canutillo was 1.01. I know, I'm so excited. Let me get my notes here. Clint was 1.01. El Paso ISD, 0.98. Fabens, 1.03. Sanelli, 1.02. Isleta, 1.00, 1%. I think I already told you Anthony, 1.04. Canutillo, again, 1.01. Tornillo, 0.99. We were so excited about that one. Tornillo's a rough one. They're a rough one.
Really?
Well, because they're so rural.
Oh.
And when they do their stratifications and they do their testing, they test on commercial properties, industrial, and so that one's a rough one. So we're very excited. And then, of course, Socorro ISD, 1.00. So overall, we were at 1%. Now, in 2018, because it happens every 2 years, 2018, we were at 97% overall. 2020, we were at 96. 2022, we're at 98%, 0.98, and now we're at 100%.
Where is it when we don't make it? What percent was that?
95 and below.
Have we ever not made it?
There's been a couple of years where we came in under, but we protested, but that was several years ago. That was like in maybe 2014, 2016, and we protested it, and we got it up. And it was the 4 smaller school districts, San Lazario, Tornillo.
The rural
Clint.
ones, yeah.
Yeah, yes, the rural ones where we have. And a lot of it is to do with agricultural, with water. with our expenses, they don't seem to think we should spend that much money on water. But so overall, countywide, all 9 school districts, we're at 100%. So we will not have to protest it.
But we did have the authority.
Yes, we did
All the
have the
school
authority.
districts did give us the authority.
So
to
we were
give-
very, very good. That is something that is new, and we were worried that we wouldn't get all that information, get all the resolutions from the school districts. So we were very happy about that.
No action needs to be taken, that's just for
No, just a
information.
report.
But the important things to annotate is all the school districts gave us the authority.
Good.
And we didn't need it. We were able to reach the number without necessarily needing
Yes.
protest.
So for those of you in your school districts, your superintendents will be getting the results from the state that will have all of the breakdown and all the information. It's a pretty big report, but just to let y'all know.
Any questions? Is Tracy here?
No, but I'm going to give her a report.
Okay,
for her.
Tracy's not here, but Dinah will give Tracy's report.
So-
Is she on vacation?
No, Miss Carter has the flu
Oh.
and has been battling that for almost 2 weeks now. So
It takes forever to get over it.
she's having a really hard time. So I told her, don't worry. She was going to show up, and I'm like, oh, no, please
We don't need to get.
We don't need to. So she wanted to let y'all know that the Appraisal Review Board training we have a training, the review board hires the MAI that does the state training, and then, of course, their own attorney, Mr. Armstrong, and then Mr. Trable is the MAI, for an additional day of training, and that's going to be on March 10th.
March 10th?
So all
We
of
can
the,
go to that, right?
Huh?
Are we allowed to go to that training?
Yes, you are.
Even though it's for the ARB board training?
Yes, sir, you are.
I just don't
It
want
would be good if you went,
I
if
just
you're
don't
on
want
that committee.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say.
So you can see what the training is.
But it's not going to be a conflict of interest if I show up?
No.
No, it's just strictly training. There's no discussions or now, not all of you could go because then it would be a quorum. But since you're on the committee and you're chair of that committee,
Right.
I will have Ms. Carter send you, Mr. Mena, all the information.
Please.
Of where it's going to be and the time and everything. It's a whole day.
Okay.
Okay, it's going to be off-site because, again, we're trying to separate appraisal district because we're not allowed to train them. And so separating that, so we're going to have that off-site.
Who's training them? Their attorney?
The attorney, Mr. Armstrong, Roy Armstrong is their attorney. He's an attorney for appraisal review boards throughout the state of Texas.
Okay.
And then John Trable is an MAI appraiser that the state hires to do the state training of ARB members. So this is an additional. The state training is virtual. It's Zoom. And all the board members have to do that training and then get a certificate. And those 2 gentlemen are the ones that put that training together.
It'll probably be good for us on that community to go to that training. That way we know.
Especially, Ed, especially those who are elected.
Yes.
So if you've been elected, if you're not appointed, if you're elected, I'd like you to at least consider going to that training because we need 2 of the 3 of you to appoint our ARB members. So it's a good idea for you to know exactly what those ARB members are going to be trained to do before you decide who's exactly going to be on the ARB. So I want anybody who wants to, without it being a quorum, to go, but especially if you're an elected member.
And if you're not, because we hired those people.
Yeah, I think the elected people need to
Yes.
seriously
So,
consider going,
we'll send.
even for part of the day.
yeah.
if not
We'll
the-
send Mr. Gonzalez and Mr. Mena
And now
the
Lori,
information.
And not Lori.
Yeah, and now
she's
Lori, yeah,
elected.
if she'd like to.
If she has the time.
The whole day, I mean, you have nothing to do.
I'm sorry. What the heck did I get
Welcome
into?
to the ARB. Oh, well,
Lori was like,
Yeah.
what?
that's all right.
Wait a minute.
Anyway, I think that at least the
Can I
elected
back out
people,
of this here?
especially because we need 2 or 3 of their votes to be able to actually appoint somebody to the ARB.
Well, and I think I'm, for this year, more interested in the committee that appointed, because
Right,
that's who they're going to be dealing with if there's any issues. So, and that, they'll come to, the
Not
board.
only that,
so.
but knowledge is power. It'll make me a better person. It'll make us better people. Know what they're going through, what they have to deal with, stuff like that. So
The second thing Tracy wanted me to let you know is she will have handouts of the TAD conference at the Texas Association of Appraisal Districts. As those of you that went, they have a special track that is for board of directors. The TAD is supposed to be putting those handouts on their website sometime mid-March. So once that comes out, then Tracy, Ms. Carter will make copies of that information or email it to everybody. So you've got some of that information of some of the training for board of directors, okay? So that'll go out. So that's all she had,
All right. Sorry you can't give her any questions because she's not here.
right?
So I now need to call on the recipient of the James A. Goodwin Excellence in Education Award to give us her report.
Well, first of all, I would like to make a comment on something that our chairman said. We are so lucky at our district for all of our employees, but especially for our accounting department and our HR department. There's so much out there that we can get in trouble because of government restrictions and OSHA restrictions. And I mean, there's just so many things. And those two departments, they have nothing to do with the appraisal, but they work with the employees, they work with the regulations, making sure that we're in compliance with everything we have to be in compliance. So I just kind of wanted to add it on to what the chairman said about how appreciative we are of all of our employees, but those two departments keep us out of trouble with the feds. So I'm very happy to have those guys. Notices, just to let y'all know, because you may be getting some phone calls, the notices of appraised value will be going out April 4th, so we still got a month. We're finalizing our testing and our ratio studies and our stratification. Another year's coming up, so just kind of getting your heads up on that. Hearings, we are going to be having some hearings. We've got late hearings, 25 late hearings. That'll be in March to catch anybody that filed a late 2024 hearing. And then we'll be starting our timely 2025 hearings on April 28th, after the notices go out. David, myself, James Thompson, and Rick Medina, the first 2 weeks of April, we'll be visiting all the taxing entities and talking to them about what's going on value-wise, giving them some estimated numbers. It won't be the certified preliminary numbers, but it'll be some estimated numbers. So we'll be meeting with the financial departments and with some of the smaller entities, maybe even the mayors or city managers. So we'll be talking with them in April. Just kind of wanted to give you a heads up on that.
Which ones are your hardest ones?
None of them really.
Besides the mayor's office.
They're yeah. No, they're all pretty good because they want the information. And we've always had really good communication when we go visit with them, and because they have any questions or any issues, then we go over it. They have any questions about the budget, because we send the budget to them mid March, and you guys the budget has to be sent to all the draft budget. It's our draft goes to the entities before March 14th. So we send it out on the 13th to the entities. Then you guys at your March 20th meeting will be giving it to y'all, and you'll have a whole month to look at it. And then April is when we have the third Thursday of April is when we have our workshop. It's strictly a workshop, but between the March when we give it to you and our April workshop, if you have any
When
questions.
is the workshop in April?
The workshop I can give you right now. Hold on.
Okay, we have a meeting March 20th.
Oh, it's 17th. April 17th.
And then the meeting, oh.
March 20th meeting, board meeting, it's March 20th is the next one. And that'll be some presentations from our staff, some recognitions of our staff, and then we'll hand out the budget, but no discussion. It will just be a handout. And then the April 17th is the workshop.
And it's also a meeting, right, at the same time?
Nope, just a workshop.
So the 24th will be a meeting?
Nope, no meeting in April.
Good.
It's strictly a workshop. We don't have a meeting. That was determined by the board several years ago to be able to have that workshop. And then in the meantime, we'll get with the budget committee that Mr. Berg, our chairman, has set up the committees, and we'll be contacting y'all. We're hoping to meet March 5th in the afternoon to go over the draft budget with the committee. And then, of course, the committee will be working with us, and then they'll give a report in April. Okay, because we got to give everybody time to really look at it. And that's basically all I have.
Do you have a list of the committees?
Yes, I do.
That's right. Did you make, is that the revised?
It's pretty much the same as last year. If you were on a committee last year, you're probably on the same committees as you. We'll pass them out.
But we have some new members now.
Yeah, and I've added them.
Yeah.
We
I've
anticipate.
Actually added, you already took.
And according to her specialties and his specialties.
So remember that on the ARB, you have Sergio, Alfred, Eduardo, and Jackie. And Laura, you might consider wanting to be on that as well, but that's your choice. But the main thing is, 2 out of the 3 elected people have got to approve everybody that's on the ARB. Those elected people include Lori, and that includes Alfred, and that includes Edward Mena. So that's, you can see these, there is some rhyme and reason to how people got on these committees. And then you can see if there's something you don't like, if you feel like you want to move, anybody can be, you can go ex officio to any of these meetings. I just
But
wanted
we
to put
can't
you on
have more than
something that I
5.
thought you would have
More than
specific
4.
interest. I thought you'd have specific interest in, so that's why I put you here. As opposed to putting you someplace where you don't really care. And budget finance, Ruben, that's why you're there, Ruben, because you're city county tax assessor, or county tax assessor, so it
Okay,
seems
buddy.
logical that that's where you would want to be.
Okay, very
All
good.
right? So that's just for your edification. Does anybody have any comments or questions? Want to note that it's an hour exactly, and we are sticking by our 1-hour budget. We try to get these meetings done within the hour. Any other questions of Dinah? Again, congratulations. Again, if you could, use your resources to get this into the media. I think it's important that the appraisal district be recognized for the great work that is being done here by the employees and by the leadership that runs this district. So I think you really do need to get this out there, if you don't mind. Any other discussion, any other issues? I don't believe we're going into closed session.
No,
So,
sir, we have nothing.
do we need a motion to adjourn? This?
Yes, sir.
So I've always hated
We're not
this.
going into executive session?
No,
Oh, okay.
we have nothing. So I don't understand why we always have to have a motion to adjourn, but Sergio, you want to give us a motion to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn.
Yay!
Chair.
second
Is there a second? Lori? Okay. Any discussion on the motion to adjourn?
Why are we
I want to
adjourning so
note that
early?
exactly at 6 o'clock on the
job.
dot, we are adjourned.
Wow, wonderful.